Hi, Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. We are nearly at the end. If you've been tuning in every day, thank you. And you'll know that we have left Peter and Fudge and their dad in the cinema. I remember Fudge has only just turned 3. He's not really old enough to sit still through a whole film, and he's never been to the cinema before. But they've gone anyway because the dad can't think of anything else to do. So, just as the lights are going out, that's where I'll take it from. Okay, ready? When the lights dimmed, Fudge said, "Ooh, dark." I told him, "Be quiet, you can't talk in the movies." "Okay, Peter," he said. That's when he started throwing his popcorn. At first I didn't notice, but I wondered why the people in front of us were turning around every second. Then I heard Fudge whisper, "Pow, pow, pow," and I saw him throw a handful of popcorn. I poked my father. "He's throwing his popcorn," I whispered. My father reached across me and tapped Fudge on the leg. "If you throw one more piece, I'm going to take it away from you." "No, Fro," Fudge said very loud. "Shh," the people in front of us said. "Shh," Fudge said back to them. "You see," I told my father, "he's too young for the movies. He doesn't understand." But from the moment the first bear came on the screen, Fudge sat still and watched. And after a while, I forgot all about him and concentrated on the movie. It was much better than I thought it would be. It showed all these bear cubs and how they live. I'm not sure when I realized Fudge was gone. I guess it was when I turned to ask him if he had any popcorn left, because I'd already finished mine and I was still hungry. I was really surprised to see he wasn't there. I mean, one minute he was sitting right next to me, and the next he was gone. "Hey, Dad," I whispered to my father. "He's gone." "What?" my father said. "Fudge isn't in his seat." My father looked over. "Where did he go?" "I don't know. I just noticed he was gone." "Let me out, Peter. I'll find him." "Should I come too?" I asked. "No, you sit here and watch the rest of the picture. He's probably wandering around by the candy counter." I stood up to let my father out. I wondered what my mom would think if she knew Fudge was lost in the movies. A few minutes later, the picture stopped right in the middle of a scene, and the soundtrack trailed off like a broken record. All the lights came on, and the audience let out a groan, and some kids called "boo." Then my father and 2 ushers and a man in a suit came over to me. "He was sitting right here," my father told them, pointing to the empty seat on the aisle. "Well," the man in the suit said, "we've checked the restrooms and the office. He's not behind the candy counter. We'll have to search the theater." He cupped his hands around his mouth and shouted, "Ladies, gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? We'll continue with our film in one moment. But first we have to find a 3-year-old boy answering to the name of Fudge." Some people laughed when the man said his name. I guess Fudge does sound funny if you're not used to it. But then I thought, maybe he's been kidnapped. Would my mother be mad? That crazy kid, you can't even take him to the movies. But then I thought, who'd want to kidnap him anyway? "What should I do, Dad?" I said. "Why don't you walk up and down the aisle and call him, Peter?" "Okay," I said. "Here, Fudge," I called, starting down my aisle. I sounded like I was calling a dog. "Come on out, Fudge." When I got down to the first row and called, "Here, Fudge," he popped out at me, scared me so bad I yelled, "Oh!" "Hi, Peter," he said. "Hey, I found him," I called. I found him. Here he is." Then I turned to my brother. "You dope! What are you doing way down here? Why are you sitting on the floor?" "Wanted to touch the bears," Fudge said. "But bears all gone." He spread out his arms and said, "Oh, gone," again. My father and the ushers and the man in the suit ran to us. "Oh, Fudge," my father said, scooping him up. "Are you all right?" "He wanted to pet the bears," I said. Can you beat that? "Well, I guess we can't continue with the picture now," the man in the suit said. He cupped his hands around his mouth again. "Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Our young man has been found safe and sound. Now we will return to the conclusion of A Bear's Life." My father carried Fudge back to our seats. He held him on his lap for the rest of the show. I guess he wasn't taking any more chances. Later, when we got home, my father explained to Fudge that movies are like TV. It's just like a picture. There's nothing to touch. Fudge listened, but I don't know whether he believed my father. I had the feeling he still thought those bears were in that theater somewhere. I made up my mind that I would never take my little brother to the movies. Never. Well, at least not until he was 9 or 10. My father said he was going to cook us something special for dinner to celebrate finding Fudge in the movies. I thought that was really strange, because as far as I know, my father can't cook anything. He doesn't even know where my mom keeps the peanut butter or, the dishes or pots and pans. Lucky for him, I was there to show him. "What are you going to cook, Dad?" "A super-duper omelette," he said. "Omelette? I'm not sure me and Fudge like omelettes." "Oh, you'll like this one," my father said, humming as he gathered his ingredients together. "You can get me a big frying pan, Peter?" "Okay," I said. I gave it to him. He melted some butter in it. What's going in the super-duper omelette?" I asked, while Fudge sat on the floor banging 2 pot covers together. "Well, eggs, of course," my father said. "Omelettes are made of eggs." "What else?" I asked. I think I'll make a mushroom omelette." "Eggs and mushrooms?" I said. "Yeah, you'll love it." "I'm not so sure." "You'll see, Peter," my father said. I set the table while my father cooked. I even put Fudge in his booster chair. When the omelette was done, my father brought it to us. He was still humming. "Whew, that's some big omelette," I said when I saw it. It filled up the whole frying pan. "How many eggs did you use?" "About a dozen," my father said. "Mom only cooks one at a time," I told him. When you taste this, you'll know why I used them all up." "You mean it's that good?" I asked. "Oh, go on," my father said. He served me. "Taste it." I took a bite. It was awful. It was the worst thing I'd ever eaten in my whole life. But my father was standing there grinning at me. I didn't want to hurt his feelings. "Well," he said. "It's nice," I told him, swallowing a chunk whole, and I washed it down with a glass of milk. "You see, your mother ought to experiment more. Then you'd learn to eat a lot of different things." "I don't think Mom ever made me a mushroom omelette," I said. My father put some on Fudge's plate. Then he served himself. Fudge shoved a whole lot into his mouth at once, and I waited, figuring he'd choke on it, but instead he said, "Oh, good!" My father beamed. Fudge wasn't smart enough to fool my father, so he must have actually liked it. But then a kid that can eat flowers and swallow teeth wouldn't know much about omelettes anyway. Then my father sat down and tasted his super-duper concoction. He not only choked on it, he spat it out. "No," he said. "This is awful. Something went wrong. Maybe the eggs are rotten." "Mom just bought them on Thursday," I said. "Maybe it's the mushrooms then," my father said. "Maybe it's how you cooked it," I suggested. My father jumped up from the table, threw the mushroom omelette into the rubbish bin, and Fudge started to cry. "Want more!" "No," my father told him. "It wasn't any good." Fudge screamed, "Eat it, wear it, eat it, wear it." And he flung his spoon across the room, and it hit my mom's favorite plant, and then soil spilled all over the kitchen floor. "Now you stop that," my father yelled at Fudge. "I'm going to make us nice peanut butter sandwiches, and then you're going to have a bath. Your mom is coming home tomorrow, and we're going to show her how well Daddy managed all by himself. Peter, where did your mother hide the peanut butter?" After supper, my father bathed Fudge. The only thing he decided not to do were the dishes. He stacked them in the sink and left them for my mom. On Sunday afternoon, we drove out to the airport to meet my mother's plane. On the way there, my father said, wouldn't it be fun if we kept all the things we did over the weekend a secret? Just between the three of us. Kind of man secret. I agreed not to say a word. And my mother was so glad to see us. She didn't even mention the dirty dishes in the sink. About 6 weeks later, we were watching TV one night when the toddler bite commercial came on. That's me, Fudge said. My mom looked up from the book she was reading. He does look like you, Fudge, but that's not really you. Oh, yes, Fudge said. That's me, see? My mom squinted and looked harder. You know, Warren, she told my father, he really does look like Fudge. Then she laughed. Imagine another little boy like Fudgy. It's Fudge, all right, I said. It's Fudge, all right, my brother repeated. We didn't tell you, dear, my father said. We thought you'd like to be surprised, but that is Fudge. What? My mom said, like she couldn't believe it. You see, Mom, I began, remember that weekend you went to visit Aunt Linda? And then I stopped and thought about all the things my mother didn't know, like the puddles that Fudge splashed in and the paper towels up his trousers, how he wanted to touch the bears and was lost in the movies, the mushroom omelet, Mr. Vincent and his big cigar, Janet and her goldfish crackers. I looked at my father and I started to laugh. So did he. Okay, it's the end of the chapter and I'm just looking. I think I'll stop there. There is one chapter left. Yeah, one chapter left that I'll read you tomorrow. Chapter 10, and it's called Dribble. Remember, Dribble is the name of his little pet turtle. And that'll be the end of Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. There is a book that comes after this one called Super Fudge. And there's another one called Fudgemania and another one called Double Fudge because Judy Blume, she originally wrote two, and then just so many children like the stories about Peter and his little brother. They wrote to her, and she wrote 2 more books to follow. Right, so I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll read a bit more about Dribble, the turtle. Bye-bye.